In today's video, I'm gonna be going over the top 5 most physically demanding trades in the blue collar world. This top 5 list is my own personal list. This is not no list off the internet. These are trades that I've either worked in or I know people that work in these trades and how physically demanding they really can be. So with that being said, let's hop into this list. Hey, if you're new to this channel, my name is Austin. I'm a journeyman lineman by trade. I've been in the lineman trade since 2017. I went through a union apprenticeship in the Northwest, and before that, I did power line tree trimming clearance in the Northwest. And before that, I worked at a welding fab shop, and before that, I worked at a mechanic shop while I was in high school. I grew up in the country. My dad's blue collar. He's a pipe fitter. I grew up on property. I grew up working with my hands, doing physical labor is really the only thing I know how to do, if I'm being quite honest. That's what's in my blood. And today's video, I want to go over 5 trades that I think are very, very physically demanding. A couple of these trades, yes, I have worked in, and I do know that they are physically demanding. I don't have the statistics behind how, quote unquote, physically demanding they are according to like Bureau of Labor statistics or whatever. That doesn't even matter. I just want to go over what I personally think are the most physically demanding trades. So with that being said, going into number 1, we are going to have electricians. Now, I personally think electricians is probably one of the most physically demanding trades because sometimes you have to pick up a broom and you have to sweep and clean up after yourself. That's not easy on the shoulders or the back. You're kind of leaned over a little bit. You might break a sweat. So pretty hard to be an electrician. It's pretty physically demanding.
Stop the cap.
I'm sorry. No. Number 1, my option for number 1, the most physically demanding trade is going to be iron workers. All right. We've seen these guys climbing steel. We've seen these guys walking steel. We've seen these guys bolting steel. They're working at heights. They're working in all weather conditions. They're working around heavy equipment. These guys are athletes. These guys are animals. You've seen the videos, of course, 20, 30 years ago. These guys worked in New York at heights, walking steel, climbing steel, no harness, no fall safety, nothing. These guys were athletes. They still are athletes, in my opinion. They are animals. They do a very hardcore trade. And that's probably why most iron workers you run into, they're going to have that ego. They're going to have the ego for a reason because what they do ain't easy. Now, they do get compensated for their work, especially if you're a union iron worker. You're going to have, the benefits that come with the union. You're going to have that vacation pay. You're going to have that good hourly wage, rightfully so, because your job is not easy. I personally like the aspects of the iron worker trade because I love heights and I love those sorts of things. But man, you guys are truly kind of a different breed. And I think that the iron worker trade is probably like the most physically demanding trade. You're always working in awkward positions and you're balancing. Like there's all the different aspects about the iron workers trade I think contribute to being like the most physically demanding trade. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below because whatever trade you work in or whatever trade you think should be number 1, let me know. All right, trade number 2. I'm not biased about this, but because I am a lineman and I've been in the trade for almost 10 years, I've seen most aspects, most different things about the lineman trade, and it can be extremely physically demanding. I'm not saying on a day-to-day basis that it's physically demanding because it all depends on kind of what sector of the trade you're working in. If you're working in transmission or if you're working doing underground or if you're just doing distribution, if you're doing hard money or if you're doing dock work, T&E, there's all these kind of different things that will play into whether or not how physically demanding the lineman trade is. But there are definitely aspects about the trade that will make you work your butt off and you will be sweating all day long. Especially when you're a grunt or an apprentice, digging a 7 or 8 foot pull hole in the desert in Arizona during the summertime, not easy, very, very, very hard. Or you are working in the mountains of Colorado and you got to use a jackhammer to try to dig a 10-foot hole for a high line through the rock. Those are little tiny things, little tiny examples about how physically demanding it can be. Climbing towers, doing a transmission job, you're always kind of working in awkward work positions. You're leaning out. You are using your full body in a lot of cases, especially if you're climbing a pole or climbing a tower and working Climbing, not easy. It can be pretty difficult. So that's why I think lineman trade can be the number 2 most demanding trade, in my opinion, just because I have seen and I have worked in the trade and I work in the trade and I know the physical demands that the trade can and will require. And in saying all these things, the trades can be physically demanding. That's why I think it's important to stay hydrated. If you're gonna stay hydrated, I would tell your boss, tell your safety guy, hey, why don't we have some hydration packs at work? Right? We're physically working all day long in the sun, we're sweating, we're physically exerting our bodies. Why not get some hydration packs for us? I personally would recommend Working Athlete hydration packs. They have one, it's got all the proper minerals for your electrolytes. It has your magnesium, it has your zinc, it has your sodium, it has your potassium. It only has 1 added gram of sugar and it has vitamin C. It has all the necessary things in it for you guys to stay hydrated for electrolytes. If you guys are looking for hydration, tell your boss to look up Working Athlete. This is my favorite brand when it comes to hydration. I try to stay hydrated. I need to stay up on my nutrients, my minerals, and my electrolytes, and this is what I use. The third most physically demanding trade, I'm going to say, is probably roofers. Roofing is actually one of the most statistically dangerous trades, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Roofers work hard. They're on their knees. They're probably bent over 99.9% of the day at work. They're lifting all the different roofing materials. They are working at heights. They are working in all the different working environments. And I personally would not want to be a roofer, at least a shingle roofer for sure, because it's just not my cup of tea and it is very physically demanding. And most roofers just don't get paid what they're really kind of worth. Like they don't really get compensated and they work really hard. So I think roofers puts at number 3 just because of the physical demands of the trade, but also like they just don't get paid very good. Now, of course, there's companies out there that probably do take care of their roofers. I know there is, but generally roofers just aren't really paid a lot of money. And that's why I think between the low compensation and the physical exertion they have to perform on a day-to-day basis, probably my third most physically demanding trade. Coming in at number 4, I'm actually going to say Powerline, tree trimming clearance, loggers / arborist, you could say. Now, I did this for 1.5 to 2 years, right? A lot of the work can be done out of a bucket, and I'm not going to say that portion of it is super physically demanding, but it's the repetitive motions used in that trade that can be pretty difficult, right? So, like, you use this big fiberglass hydraulic gun that's probably, 6 to 8 feet long with this big disc on the end. Probably weighs a total of 20, 25 pounds, and you're out there leaning out and you're just doing this repetitive motion all day long. Like, I think that's probably why my right shoulder is pretty messed up, because like at 19 years old, that's what I was doing like on a day-to-day basis, was just swinging that gun around at 20, 25 pounds, just swinging that sucker around. Not very easy, not good on your body, honestly. Like, it's important to probably stretch and like kind of warm up before doing all that. Now, the different aspect of the trade of arborist or loggers, loggers is different. Like, they're out there working in all the different climates on steep terrain, hiking out in the backcountry. Like, loggers, you guys are a tough breed as well. I grew up in the Northwest, so logging is a big industry where I grew up, and I know a bunch of loggers, and those guys are a tough breed. Now, the other side of being like an arborist or a tree trimmer or power line clearance is climbing trees, which is very awkward. I'd climb a pole, a power pole, every day over climbing a tree. All the different like aspects of climbing a tree, how old the tree is, how moist the tree is, what kind of tree it is, how far it's leaning, how far up do I have to climb the tree. Like, all these different aspects of having to do tree work like that. Climbing a tree is not easy. Pretty doggone physically demanding. From my experience. Now, of course, there is easier and better ways to climb trees. It's not always just a pair of gaffs and some climbing gear. There is other ways where they throw the string up there and they use all the rigging and this and that, and they make it a little bit easier. But it's still hard. It's still not easy. So that's why I think loggers, arborists, tree trimmers, power line clearance guys, that's why I would say that is number 4 most physically demanding trade. Now, coming in at number 5, and this is just, it is what it is. Construction laborers. You're the bottom of the totem pole. You are the grunts. You are laborers. So you're doing all the physically demanding work that no one else wants to do. Digging holes, digging ditches, literally doing everything that no one else wants to do. So it's going to be physically demanding. I bet your back probably hurts from carrying the whole construction crew and bending over and not properly lifting everything that you have to lift on an everyday basis. So there's that. And that's why I say construction, a general construction labor, is probably a pretty physically demanding trade. I've never had to do it, but hey, I respect those that do it because it's good experience. I don't know really what you guys get paid, but you do have to start somewhere. And you realize, hey, if I'm a construction laborer, I can see the other trades working on a construction site. And hey, maybe I can, ask some questions, reach out a little bit and figure out, hey, maybe I want to become an electrician or, a carpenter or whatever. Construction laborers are coming in at number 5 for me. I want to hear you guys. What is your guys' top 5 list for the most physically demanding trades out there? With all being said, hopefully you guys enjoy this video with Blue Collar EDU. I'm here to expose, teach, educate you guys about blue collar career opportunities, how to get started in the skilled trades. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.